The archivist's embalming. I stood in the doorway of my childhood home, heart pounding like a war drum as the familiar scent of polished wood and stale coffee washed over me. It had been years since I'd crossed this threshold, years since my family had deemed me a disgrace, a delusional relic hunter they called me, a mockery of what I once yearned to be. Their laughter rang in my ears, a haunting echo that had followed me into the dark depths of my obsession. "You'll lose your mind," they said. "You'll disgrace us." But I had escaped the pit of shame, clawed my way up through the suffocating darkness of ridicule. Now I was armed with knowledge that could fracture minds and expose hidden horrors that lay beneath the surface of our reality. I stepped inside, clutching the heavy satchel at my side, its contents whispering secrets of the damned. They had mocked my pursuit of cursed artifacts, those remnants of a world forgotten and feared. But what they didn't understand was that I had not merely collected relics. I had become their archivist, their keeper. I had faced the darkness and survived. The living room was unchanged, a time capsule of familial warmth, though it felt more like a tomb to me now. My mother was the first to spot me. Her face transformed from surprise to a tight-whipped grimace, the lines of disapproval etched deeper than I remembered. "You shouldn't have come back," she said, her voice cold, as if the words themselves could freeze the very air between us. My father, once a towering figure of authority, now looked smaller, his eyes clouded with disappointment. "We told you this obsession would ruin you. You look different," he muttered, glancing nervously at the satchel. "Different?" I echoed, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. "Or enlightened?" My younger sister Emma stood to the side, arms crossed, her skepticism palpable. "You expect us to believe that you've done something worthwhile? That digging through old junk earned you respect?" I took a deep breath, the weight of their disbelief pressing down like a lead blanket. "You'd be surprised what the world fears but cannot ignore. I've seen things, unearthed truths no one dares to confront." They didn't laugh this time. They exchanged wary glances, and I could almost taste the doubt in the air. I felt a primal urge to show them, to prove to them that the shadows I had embraced were not mere figments of imagination. So I unzipped the satchel, revealing its sinister contents, a collection of cursed artifacts, each one pulsing with memories and tales of terror. I laid them out on the coffee table. An ancient dagger with a handle of gnarled bone, a shattered mirror that reflected not just faces but fears, and a small rusted lockbox that seemed to hum with a malevolent energy. My family recoiled, their laughter replaced by unease. "Those are just trinkets," my father scoffed, though his voice trembled. "You're still delusional." But I was no longer that fragile soul they had discarded. I lifted the dagger, its blade glimmering like the edge of a nightmare. This dagger was used in a ritual that summoned the vengeful spirit of a betrayed lover. It thirsts for blood, for revenge. Emma's eyes widened. "That's just a story. It can't be real." "Can't it?" I asked, a chill crawling up my spine. "You think I'm insane, but I've unraveled the threads of the past. I faced the horrors these artifacts contain. What do you think happens when you invite the darkness into your life?" The room grew heavy with tension, shadows dancing in the corners as if they were alive. I continued, my voice a low, urgent whisper. "I've witnessed the consequences of disbelief, the price of ignorance." Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The lights flickered, and the air thickened with an oppressive weight. A cold whisper slithered through the room, a sound almost like a voice, and I saw my family's faces pale. The artifacts, once mere objects, seemed to pulse with energy, awakening something ancient and malevolent. "Do you feel that?" I breathed, eyes locked on the dagger. "It wants you to understand. It wants you to know what you've dismissed." Before they could respond, the mirror shattered violently, shards flying across the room as a scream erupted from its depths. A figure emerged, a spectral silhouette that twisted in agony, face contorted with betrayal. The room filled with a cacophony of wailing cries, shadows stretching and merging, swirling around us like a tempest of despair. "Mom! Dad!" Emma screamed, but there was no escape. The ghost loomed closer, drawn to my family, as if feeding off their disbelief, their denial. I stood frozen, filled with a sickening blend of dread and vindication. "You mocked me," I whispered, voice trembling with a mixture of horror and triumph. "You ridiculed my pursuit while I faced what you could not even dream of. Now you know the truth." The figure lunged at them, an embodiment of their scorn, and as it engulfed my family in a swirl of shadows, I felt a pang of sorrow. They had never believed in the darkness I embraced, never understood the price of ignorance. But I had survived, transformed by the very horrors they feared. I watched as the darkness consumed their disbelief, their laughter replaced by screams of terror echoing in the house that once felt like home. In the aftermath, I exited the house, the sunset painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold. Behind me, the shadows shifted, and the remnants of their disbelief faded into silence. I turned away, a heavy but liberating weight settling on my shoulders. I was no longer a disgrace. I was a bearer of truth, a keeper of the cursed. I had triumphed over darkness, but the cost of their denial lingered in the air. A chilling reminder that sometimes the horrors we dismiss return to haunt us, leaving scars that can never be erased.